Caravan stepped off the transport shuttle as if she were stepping onto enemy territory. The landing pad behind her hummed with quiet energy, but the small town around her felt painfully still. After years of war after smoke, fire, alien sandstorms, and the echo of weapons that could tear apart mountains, the silence felt wrong. Too easy to open. To calm, she held her small duffel bag over one shoulder. It carried nothing important, a few clothes given by her handlers, a datapad with restricted access, and one metal tag from her old unit. The tag was scratched, burned, and bent, but she refused to let them take it away. It reminded her of everything she had, lost and survived. The reintegration officer had told her she would adjust to civilian life with time. They said she needed a chance to live as a teenager again. They said high school would help her heal. Kara touted it. She crossed the parking lot toward the main building of Jefferson High School. Teenagers clustered in groups, laughing, shouting, slamming locker doors, or staring into their phones. None of them noticed her. None of them could imagine the places she had been or the things she had done. They didn't know what it was like to stand on a burning ridge while alien soldiers screamed through the smoke. They didn't know what it was like to be the youngest fighter in a war humanity barely survived. A girl with bright pink hair bumped into her without looking up from her phone. "Watch it," the girl snapped. Kara froze. On the battlefield, sudden contact meant danger. Her hand twitched toward where a sidearm should have been, but she stopped herself, forcing her breath to steady. She reminded herself, "This is Earth. This is safe. These are only students." "Sorry," Kara said quietly. The girl didn't reply. She just walked away. Kara scanned the hall as she entered the building. She noticed patterns, escape routes, blind spots, angles where someone could hide. The habit was automatic. Her instructors once said she had the best threat recognition reflex in the entire squad. Now that instinct flickered uselessly every time a locker slammed or someone laughed too loudly. Her new homeroom teacher, Mrs. Dalloway, greeted her with a smile far too bright to be natural. "You must be Kara. We're very happy to have you joining us. Please take any open seat." Kara nodded. She didn't know how to smile back without looking stiff or strange. Her training had covered alien languages, survival drills, hacking, close-quarter combat, but not how to talk like a normal 17-year-old. She sat near the back. Students looked at her out of curiosity, but no one approached. She preferred it that way. Class started, and Mrs. Dalloway began reviewing announcements. Kara didn't understand half of its school clubs, local events, something about a spirit rally. All things that sounded small, ordinary, harmless, but something tugged at Kara's nerves. She felt a faint pressure in the air, a vibration most humans couldn't detect. It brushed across her senses like a whisper. She sat straighter. This energy signature, it was almost identical to the cloaking fields used by the Aether Scouts. Those creatures moved like shadows, collecting information before their armies struck. Kara blinked. It had to be her imagination. Earth Command told her the war was over, the borders secured. No alien faction would dare come near a human colony. But her instincts didn't care. She scanned the classroom again. Every face looked human. Every teenager looked annoyingly normal. Yet the faint energy pulse continued. Drifting from somewhere near the front row, a blond boy whispered to another student. A tall athlete tapped his pencil. A girl doodled flowers in her notebook. None of them looked dangerous. Still, Kara's heartbeat quickened. She forced herself to look down at her desk. She needed to blend in. She needed to follow orders. Reintegration Command said she had to make an effort to adapt. She wasn't allowed to cause trouble. She wasn't allowed to raise military alarms without proof, but the sensation wouldn't fade. When the bell rang, Kara moved slowly, letting the others rush out first. Only then did she rise from her seat, stepping into the hall. The noise hit her like a wave, students laughing, shouting, slamming doors, running toward their next classes. Her hand tightened around her bag strap. She moved through the hall like she was navigating a war zone, careful, alert. She hated how jumpy she felt. She had faced charging armored beasts without flinching. She had fought hand-to-hand against creatures twice her size. But this building full of teenagers felt more overwhelming than any battlefield. A boy in a Letterman jacket leaned against a locker nearby. "Hey, new girl," he said with a friendly grin. "You lost?" Kara stared at him. Was he assessing her? Testing her? Or was he just being nice? She couldn't tell. She had spent years reading alien body language, not teenage behavior. "I know where I'm going," she said quickly. He raised an eyebrow. "Okay then. Just trying to help." He walked away, and Kara felt a strange twist in her stomach-guilt. She didn't mean to sound rude. She just didn't know how to. Her next class was math. She sat in the corner again. The teacher droned about simple equations she had studied years ago before she was recruited. Before her quiet life ended, she tried to focus, but the energy signature returned, faint but persistent. It buzzed near her left temple like an old implant, activating. Her breathing grew shallow. She looked around slowly. A silver-eyed boy sat across the room, tapping his foot. He had been in her homeroom too. She didn't notice him before. Now she saw something just for a second, like a veil flickering around him. Not visible to normal eyes, but detectable to her enhanced senses. Her pulse spiked. A scout. She tried to calm herself. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe she was seeing things. Maybe her reintegration drugs hadn't fully settled, but no. She knew that shimmer. She remembered it from nights on the frontier, and she had woken to the quiet buzz of a cloaked enemy nearby. Her pencil rolled off her desk. She didn't notice. The boy looked up suddenly, as if he sensed her watching. His silver eyes met hers. They were calm, almost too calm. Then he looked away, as if she were nothing more than another student. Kara swallowed hard. When class ended, she hurried to the restroom, locking herself in an empty stall. She pressed her hands to her trembling face. "I can handle this," she whispered to herself. "I survived worse." She wasn't sure. Combat, she understood. Orders, she understood. High school. Alien infiltrators, hiding among teenagers, while she was forced to pretend nothing was wrong. This was something else entirely. She pulled out her datapad and typed a priority message to her old command. Asterisk, asterisk, possible Aether signature detected. Requesting verification. The response was instant. Reintegration environment is non-hostile. No alien presence confirmed on Earth. Hallucinations are a known side effect of transition stress. Continue civilian adjustment protocol. Asterisk, asterisk. Her jaw clenched. They didn't believe her. She sank onto the closed toilet lid. For a long moment, she stared at the floor. She wasn't imagining things. She couldn't be. The war had taught her to trust her instincts. They had saved her life more times than she could count. She stood up, splashed cold water on her face, and looked at herself in the mirror. Her dark hair hung in waves around her stern, tired eyes. She looked older than 17. Older than most adults. That was what war did. She took a deep breath. If command wouldn't listen, she would watch on her own. She left the restroom and returned to the hall. Students were still talking, still moving in chaotic patterns that made her want to cover her ears. She scanned the crowd. Searching for the silver-eyed boy there, he walked casually toward the cafeteria, laughing with two others. His movements were smooth, too balanced for an ordinary teenager. His posture was perfect. His eyes scanned the crowd the same way she did. He wasn't just watching. He was hunting. Kara followed at a distance. Not close enough to be noticed, but close enough to observe. She kept to the edges of the hall, blending with groups when she could. She moved like a shadow. The way she had been trained. The cafeteria was loud, students shouting over each other, trays clattering, someone playing music too loudly in the corner. The silver-eyed boy sat at a table near the back. His friends oblivious as he scanned the room with quiet focus, Kara watched from behind a support pillar. Her heart pounded. Fear and adrenaline mixed in a way she hadn't felt since the war. She didn't know what the scout was planning. She didn't know why he was here. But she knew one thing. She couldn't let him act. Earth was supposed to be safe. She had come here to heal, But if an alien scout was inside this school, then the war wasn't over for her. She had survived combat now. She had to survive high school and protect it, and she would. Alone, if she had to, Kara Vance woke the next morning before sunrise, her body reacting to a schedule she no longer lived by. She sat up in bed, breathing slowly as the quiet room surrounded her. No alarms, no distant explosions, no commanding officers shouting orders. Just stillness. It should have been peaceful. It was. The mind replayed the moment she saw the silver-eyed boy and the faint shimmer of a cloaking field. She knew what she saw. She trusted her instincts more than anything. But Earth Command dismissed her warning without hesitation. They wanted her to believe she was stressed, confused. Seeing ghosts from the war, she wasn't. She changed into her. New school uniform, something she hated more every time she looked at it. The fabric felt soft, weak, fragile, nothing like the reinforced tactical suit she once lived in. It didn't protect her from anything. She tied her shoes, grabbed her bag, and stepped outside. The air was cool, the sky a dark blue fading into morning light. Birds chirped in the trees. The world felt safe, calm, normal. She didn't trust it. On the walk to school, Kara watched every car, every window, every alleyway. The familiar tension sat in her stomach like a weight. Her senses stayed sharp, listening for sounds most people would never notice. Jefferson High came into view, already buzzing with early students. The sight made her chest tighten. She preferred the battlefield to this building full of loud, unpredictable teenagers. Inside, students crowded the halls. Kara moved carefully through them. Someone brushed her shoulder and she stiffened. Another student laughed loudly and she flinched. She hated how icily the noise overwhelmed her. She didn't see the silver-eyed boy at first. That made her more nervous. Her first class passed slowly. She barely listened to the teacher. Her eyes flicked toward the door again and again, expecting the scout to appear. When the bell rang, she walked into the hall with a tight jaw. Ready to search, she found him near the water fountain. He looked like any normal student, relaxed posture. Friendly smile, casual clothes. But Kara saw what others didn't. His movements were too controlled, too smooth. His gaze scanned the crowd with skill, not curiosity. When his eyes met hers, he paused. It was only a second. But Kara felt the air tighten. He knows I know. She turned away quickly but kept him in the corner of her vision. She didn't want to engage him. Not yet. She needed to learn more. In her next class, she sat near a window, breathing slowly. Two girls behind her whispered about a party. Someone laughed about a video online. A couple passed notes to each other. Normal life. Something she didn't understand. Kara pulled out her notebook and pretended to write. Instead, she listened. She tracked every movement in the room. She watched the door. She didn't feel the strange energy signature here. That gave her a little relief, but relief didn't last long. During lunch, the cafeteria was louder than yesterday. Kara sat alone at a small table in the corner. She didn't mind the loneliness. In war, solitude meant survival. Groups meant exposure. She scanned the room. The silver-eyed boy sat at a different table today, laughing with a group of popular students. He blended in perfectly, but he wasn't blending in. He was observing. Kara watched closely. He leaned closer to a girl, listening to her talk. Then he looked around the room, again subtle, practiced movements, almost like he was mapping the space, counting people, tracking patterns. Eighth-year scouts studied targets before they made their move. Kara swallowed hard. She knew she needed proof. Earth Command wouldn't act unless she had it. When the scout stood up to throw away his trash, she rose too, keeping a distance as she followed him. Her steps were silent, her breathing steady. He left the cafeteria and walked down an empty hallway. For a moment, Kara thought he might be returning to class. Then he took a sharp turn and stepped into the small supply room near the gym. Kara's heart pounded. She moved. Closer, quiet, slow. She reached the doorway and peered. Inside, just long enough to see. The boy stood in the middle of the room, his eyes glowing faintly silver. A shimmer of energy flickered around him like a thin veil peeling away. Kara's breath caught in her throat. A cloaking field. A real one. She stepped back quickly, hiding behind the wall. Her hands shook, but not from fear. From anger, she had been right. The scout was here, and he wasn't alone. If one infiltrator could so easily walk into a school, there might be more. Kara needed proof. She needed a recording. She reached for her datapad, the moment her fingers touched it. She heard footsteps approaching. She tensed and pressed. Herself against the wall, the silver-eyed boy walked out of the supply room. His expression calm again, his eyes normal. He didn't look in her direction. He walked down the hall with easy, relaxed steps. But Kara knew he sensed something. Scouts always felt when they were being watched. She waited until he turned the corner. Then she entered the supply room. The air felt strange inside, warped, like static still clung to the walls. She moved quietly, scanning the shelves and floor. Nothing looked out of place, but she saw what mattered. A faint scorch mark on the ground. Cloaking, field residue. She touched it gently. It was still warm. Her pulse quickened. She left the room quickly and closed the door behind her. She needed a plan. If the scout was preparing something, she had to know what. The rest of the school day passed in a blur. Kara listened, watched, and analyzed every moment. The scout acted like nothing was wrong, but she noticed his patterns where he looked. He watched when he slipped away. He liked the science labs. He spent more time near the computer room than any normal student. He avoided cameras. He was gathering data. When the final bell rang, Kara didn't go straight home. Instead, she positioned herself outside near the bike racks. She waited. Minutes passed. Students left in groups, laughing and talking. Others got into cars. Some ran to practice. Slowly, the crowd thinned. Then the silver-eyed boy appeared. He walked alone, hands in his pockets. Kara watched him closely. He stopped near the back fence. Looking both ways before stepping into the trees behind the school, Kara followed. The woods were quiet, with only the distant sound of traffic. Kara moved silently between the trees, keeping her eyes locked on her target. He didn't walk far. He reached a small, clear area surrounded by tall bushes. He paused, then touched something on his wrist. A soft ripple of energy spread outward. Kara crouched behind a tree. A holographic panel appeared above. The boy's wrist device. Strange symbols glowed in blue lines of Theer language. Kara's breath shook. She edged closer. Careful not to snap any branches, the boy spoke softly in a language only soldiers, like Kara had ever heard. Survey Day 3. Human subjects show increasing emotional variability. Leadership traits beginning to show in targeted individuals. Full pattern harvest possible. Awaiting further instructions. Kara's stomach twisted. Pattern harvest. That meant extracting neural signatures from humans mapping behavior. Personality, leadership potential. The Aether wanted information they could use to manipulate future generations. And they were starting with teenagers. Her hands curled into fists. She had to report this. She had to warn someone. But Earth's command already ignored her, and if she tried again without clear evidence, they might blame her for imagining things. She needed a recording. Kara slowly lifted her.
Add a pad.
But before she could hit record, the device in the boy's hand beeped. He stopped talking. He turned. Sharply, his silver eyes glowed. Kara froze. He scanned the trees. Moving slowly, carefully, his voice shifted into perfect English. Is someone there? Kara pressed her back against the trunk. Staying silent, he stepped closer. Closer, every instinct in her body screamed to run. But she didn't move. Then a loud shout echoed from the school. Yo, Mark. Practice starts in 5 minutes. The scout stopped. He blinked, his eyes returning to normal. He looked back toward the school. Coming. He shouted. He touched his wrist device again. The hologram vanished. Then he walked away. Kara let out a slow, shaky breath. She waited until he was gone, then stepped into the clearing. Her body trembled not from fear, but fury. Earth Command might ignore her. Teachers might treat her like an unstable student, but she knew the truth. The Aether were here. They were studying the school, and she was the only one who could stop them. Kara looked toward the fading sun. She had survived war. Now she would fight one again alone. If she had no choice, Kara Vance woke up the next morning feeling heavier than before. The truth she uncovered in the woods refused to leave her mind. The Aether Scout was real. His mission was real. And whatever he planned, it involved the students of Jefferson High. She had proof, not recorded proof, but first-hand knowledge, enough to make any sane officer believe her. But Earth Command didn't want to hear it. She got dressed slowly, her movements tense. The uniform felt even more uncomfortable today, like she was wearing someone else's life. She tied her shoes tightly, grabbed her bag, and left the house. The walk to school felt different. Every car passing made her tense. Every voice behind her made her turn slightly to check. Birds chirped high in the trees, but she couldn't enjoy the sound. Not when she knew a hidden enemy walked among humans. At the school gate, she hesitated. Students poured in laughing, talking, living normal lives. They didn't know they were being studied like test animals. They didn't know danger stood right beside them. Kara took a deep breath and forced herself forward. Inside the building, noise crashed into her like a wave. Lockers slammed, shoes squeaked across the floor, and students yelled to be heard over the chaos. Kara clenched her jaw and walked through, her eyes constantly scanning. She spotted the silver-eyed scout mark near the stairs. He stood with a group of friends, pretending to joke with them. His smile looked natural. His posture looked relaxed. But Kara saw the small details others missed, the way his eyes flicked over every passing student, the slight tension in his shoulders, the careful way he controlled his breathing. He was hunting patterns, and she was hunting him. Kara looked away quickly, not wanting to draw attention. But Mark's eyes brushed across her direction for a split second. She couldn't tell if he sensed her or if it was coincidence. She turned down the hallway to homeroom. Inside, students filled the seats. Mrs. Dalloway gave her the same bright smile as before. "Good morning. Kara, I hope you're settling in well." Kara didn't respond. She took her seat at the back, her body rigid with tension. Announcements began. Students whispered, laughed, passed notes. Kara stared at the classroom door, expecting Mark to walk in, but he didn't. That made her uneasy. Her hand tapped her desk lightly as habit from combat training when she needed to stay focused. Every instinct told her something was happening, something she couldn't see yet. When the bell rang, Kara left the room quickly. She moved through the halls with purpose, checking every corner. She walked past the science labs, the computer room. The GMA where Mark could slip into, nothing. Then something caught her attention, a strange hum, soft but sharp, vibrating through her senses like a whisper of danger. She followed it, weaving through students. The noise grew stronger as she neared the East Wing, a quieter part of the school usually used for storage and old classrooms. The hallway was empty. The hum pulsed. Kara stepped forward slowly. She reached the door of the old computer lab and listened. The hum came from inside. She pushed the door lightly. It wasn't locked. She slipped in silently. The room was dim, dust floating through thin beams of morning sun. Old computers sat in rows, disconnected and unused. But something new sat in the middle of the room. A small device silver. It's metallic and glowing faintly blue. Kara's breath caught. A scanner. A Theartech. She stepped closer carefully, eyes sharp. The device hummed louder, pulsing with energy. She could feel it brushing against her senses like cold fingers. She crouched beside it. The scanner projected a tiny hologram, shifting lines and symbols showing student data, names, behavior patterns. Leadership scores. Her stomach twisted. They were studying everything. Footsteps echoed outside. Kara jumped up and hid behind a tall computer tower. Her eyes wide and alert. The door opened. Mark entered. He stepped inside calmly, closing the door behind him. Then he walked straight to the scanner and tapped a sequence on his wrist device. The hologram grew clearer. He spoke softly. Survey Day 4. Pattern collection progressing. Emotional responses increasing. Human leadership traits indicate high potential. Preparing next phase calibration. Kara covered her mouth with her hand, her breathing silent. He walked around the device, analyzing it. Then he spoke again, his voice lower. One subject remains inconsistent. Subject designation, Vance Kara. Behavior unpredictable. Possible combat background? Requires further observation. Kara froze. He knew her name. He had marked her as a target. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. She didn't dare move. Mark tapped a final sequence, and the device powered down. The hum faded. He looked around the room once slowly, thoughtfully. Kara stayed completely still. After a moment, he left. When the door closed, Kara released a shaky breath. Sweat clung to her forehead. But fear wasn't what filled her. Pure anger did. She stepped out from hiding and approached the device again. She wanted to destroy it. Smash it. Crush every piece. But she stopped herself. She needed proof. She lifted her datapad and took several clear photos. Then she recorded a quick video of the scanner humming. Now she had evidence. She backed away and left the room quickly, heading straight for the bathroom. She locked herself in a stall and sent the photos to Earth Command with a message. Asterisk, asterisk, hostile, Aether, infiltration confirmed. Evidence attached. Immediate action required. Asterisk, asterisk. She waited. Minutes passed. Her datapad beeped. She opened the message. Asterisk, asterisk, images, inconclusive. Likely fabricated or misinterpreted. Reintegration stress remains the primary cause of your concerns. Follow protocol. Do not escalate. Asterisk, asterisk. Kara stared at the screen. Her hands trembling, they dismissed her again. She slammed the datapad against the stall wall. Gripping it tightly so it wouldn't break, she breathed hard, trying to calm herself. If command wouldn't help, then she had no backup. She was alone. Kara walked out of the bathroom and back into the hallway. Students moved everywhere, laughing, shouting, living their normal lives. They had no idea what danger lurked. It's just a few steps away. She stopped near her locker. Think she needed a plan. If the Aether were planning a full pattern harvest, they needed more equipment, more scouts, more time. She had to find out where the other devices were. And she had to destroy them before the Aether made their move. But she couldn't do it. Alone, her eyes scanned the hall. Students passed by, some friendly, some rude, some quiet, some loud. None of them looked like people she could trust with the truth. Then she noticed. Someone, a boy named Jace. He sat near her in math class. He always watched everything with sharp eyes, as if he missed nothing. He wasn't popular, but he wasn't ignored either. He kept to himself. He looked at her sometimes, not in a creepy way, but with curiosity. Like he sensed something was different about her. Kara studied him for a moment. Could she trust him? She didn't know, but she needed help. Later during break, she approached him near the vending machines. Jace, she said quietly. He looked up, surprised she knew his name. Oh, hey, Kara, right? She nodded. Can we talk? Somewhere private. He blinked. Sure. Did I do something? No. I just need to talk. They walked to the empty back stairwell. Kara checked the area to make sure no one was around. Jace frowned softly. You look tense. What's going on? Kara hesitated. How did she tell him aliens were infiltrating their school without sounding insane? She decided to start simple. Have you noticed anything strange lately? She asked Jace, a thought for a moment. Well, yeah. The new kid, Mark. Something's off about him. He's too perfect. Too calm. He watches people like he's studying them. Kara's heart quickened. He noticed it too. She stepped closer. Jace, I need you to trust me. Mark isn't who he says he is. Jace raised an eyebrow. Meaning, Kara took a breath. Meaning, he's dangerous. And he's not human. Jace stared at her for several seconds. Kara expected him to laugh or walk away. Instead, he whispered, "I knew it." Her eyes widened. "You did." Jace nodded slowly. "I didn't know what he was, but I knew something was wrong." Kara exhaled in relief. For the first time since arriving, she didn't feel completely alone. She explained everything carefully, but honestly. The cloaking field she saw. The scanner in the woods. The device in the computer lab. The recordings she heard. Jace listened with wide eyes, but he didn't interrupt. When she finished, he rubbed his face. "This is insane. But I believe you." "What do we do?" Kara felt a spark of determination. "We find the other scanners, and we destroy them." Jace nodded slowly. "Okay, but we need a plan." Kara's expression hardened. "I can make a plan." For the first time since the war ended, she felt alive. She wasn't just surviving. She was fighting back. And this time, she wasn't alone. Kara moved quickly through the empty hallway, her boots tapping softly against the tiles. It was late after school, and most students had already gone home. Only the cleaning staff moved around the far end of the building. She kept her shoulders low and her senses sharp. Something in the air felt wrong again. The strange energy signals she had noticed earlier were now stronger. They pulsed like quiet whispers and seemed to follow her steps. She paused near the library doors. Her eyes narrowed. The air here buzzed faintly, almost like invisible static. She knew this feeling from her time in combat. Hidden tech. Alien tech. She placed her hand against the wall and felt a small vibration under her palm. Something no normal student would ever notice. Her heart beat faster, but she forced herself to breathe steady. She was trained for danger. She could face it. But this place, this school, was supposed to be safe. She had been sent here to recover, not to fight again, yet danger had followed her. She stepped into the library. The large space was dark, except for the faint glow of the emergency lights. Tall shelves rose like silent towers around her. She scanned the room carefully. Nothing moved. But the energy signatures here were clearer than anywhere else in the school. Kara remembered the alien scouts she had discovered. She remembered how their mission was to study humans for future control. Their plan made her stomach twist with anger. She had fought hard to protect humanity. She had lost friends in the war. She had survived things no teenager should ever see. And now here they were again, attacking her home. She moved slowly between the shelves. Her fingers brushed the handle of the small device hidden at her belt. It wasn't a weapon, but a scanner. She had smuggled it from her old supply cache after she realized Earth Command would not help her. The device hummed softly as she activated it, sending a faint beam across the room. The beam flickered against the far wall. Behind a tall bookshelf, the scanner reacted sharply. Kara stepped forward, pushing the shelf slightly to the side. Her eyes widened. Behind the shelf was a small black panel attached to the wall. The device was not human-made. She knelt, examining it. Alien writing glowed faintly on its surface. It pulsed with the same strange energy she had been sensing. The device was part of a system. And this was only one part of it. Kara whispered under her breath. They planted this here. They're building something. Her stomach felt heavy. Whatever they were planning, it was happening faster than she expected. She stood and took a step back. She needed to warn someone she trusted, someone who would believe her. Her thoughts went to the few classmates who had been kind to her. They didn't know her past, but they had shown more loyalty than some officers she had served under. But before she could move, a soft clicking sound came from behind her. Kara spun around. A figure stood near the reading tables, half hidden in the shadows. For a moment, she thought it was a student who had stayed late. But then the figure stepped forward. She saw the faint shimmer of shifting skin. A disguised alien. Her heart raced, but her mind stayed calm. She dropped into a defensive stance. "What do you want?" she asked. The creature did not speak at first. Its mask-like human face flickered, revealing glimpses of its real form beneath. a pale, insect-like face with cold eyes. When it finally spoke, its voice was quiet, almost polite. "Should not interfere, human soldier. This world is not ready to resist us." Kara kept her gaze locked on it. "Leave this place. Leave my people." The creature tilted its head. "You are alone. Your commanders no longer support you. Your kind does not even know we are here. You cannot stop us." Anger burned in her chest. "Watch me try." The creature lunged forward. Kara moved quickly, rolling to the side as its claws sliced the air where she had been standing. She grabbed a metal book cart and pushed it hard, sending it crashing into the creature. The alien stumbled, but recovered quickly, its body twisting unnaturally. Kara pulled a small flash charge from her pocket. It was one of her last. She threw it toward the creature. The device exploded with a bright white light that filled the room. The creature screeched, covering its eyes. Kara ran forward and kicked it hard in the chest. The creature hit a table and fell to the floor. Its disguise flickered completely, revealing its true form. But Kara didn't wait to fight longer. She knew this was only one of them. And if one was here, others were nearby. She ran toward the exit. As she reached the hallway, she pressed a small button on her scanner. It sent a coded signal to her hidden supply box. A mechanical click echoed through the building as the box unlocked inside the storage room. She hurried there, checking behind her to make sure she was not being followed. Inside the storage room, she knelt beside the metal box. She opened it and felt the cold air against her face. Inside were pieces of equipment she had saved from the war, old gadgets, simple tools, and a few devices she had built herself. She grabbed 2 small emitters and attached them to her belt. Then she picked up a handheld jammer. It would help her disable alien tech, but only for a short time. She closed the box and stood. Her breath was heavy, but her eyes were clear. She was done hiding. These aliens were not going to take her school. They were not going to hurt the people she had started to care about as she walked out of the storage room. She ran into 2 students standing in the hallway. They stared at her with wide eyes. One of them, a boy named Leo, stepped forward. "Kara, what's going on?" "We heard something explode." Kara hesitated. She had never told anyone here the truth, but she no longer had a choice. "There's danger in the school," she said simply, "and I need your help." The 2 students exchanged a glance. They looked scared, but they didn't run. "What kind of danger?" the girl asked softly. Kara met her eyes. "Not the kind you can imagine, but I'll explain if you follow me." They nodded slowly. Kara felt a surprising warmth in her chest. She had fought alongside trained soldiers her whole life, but now she was asking normal teenagers to stand with her. It felt strange, but also right. She led them down the hallway, speaking in a calm voice. "There are aliens in the school. They are hiding among us. They planted tech in the building. It can harm everyone here. I need to find all the devices before they activate." The students listened quietly, shock clear on their faces. "Why would aliens come here?" Leo asked. "Because humans are stronger than they thought," Kara answered. "Because we fight back when others expect us to fall. They want to understand us, control us." They turned a corner and entered the science lab. Kara's scanner beeped loudly. She moved quickly to the back of the room, pulling open a cabinet. Another alien device glowed faintly inside. She used her jammer on it. Sparks flashed and the device went dark. "It's 2, she whispered. The girl beside her swallowed nervously. "How many more?" Kara didn't answer. She didn't know. They left the lab and moved toward the gym. The scanner buzzed again. Kara pushed through the gym doors and stopped. In the center of the gym floor was a large metallic structure. It pulsed with energy, glowing brighter than any of the smaller devices. Leo whispered, "What is that?" Kara stared at it, her jaw tight. "The core. The main part of their system? If this activates, it will affect every student in this school." A sound echoed from above. Kara looked up. More disguised aliens crawled along the rafters, their bodies shimmering. Her pulse quickened. This was it. "Get behind me," she said firmly. Leo and the girl did as she told. Kara reached for the emitters on her belt. Her hands were steady. "It's time," she whispered to herself. "I won't let them win," the aliens hissed. The core pulsed. Kara stepped forward. The battle for the school was about to begin. Kara stood at the center of the gym, her breath steady and her eyes focused. The metallic core in front of her glowed with a pulsing blue light that filled the entire room with a quiet hum. The air felt heavy, charged with energy that made her skin tingle. She knew this feeling from the battlefield. It was the calm before something dangerous happened. Leo and the girl Mia stayed behind her as she instructed. They were scared, but they did not run. Kara felt a strange sense of pride toward them. They were not soldiers, but they were brave. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like she was fighting alone. The aliens moved quietly along the rafters above, their bodies flickering in and out of their disguises. Their eyes glowed faintly as they watched her. They were waiting for the right moment to attack. Kara adjusted the emitters on her belt. She had to use them carefully. They were old and fragile. They were also the best chance she had to disrupt the core's energy. She stepped forward slowly. The core responded, glowing brighter. She could hear the soft hum growing into a low vibration. It was activating. She didn't have much time. Behind her, Leo whispered, "Kara, what do we do?" She did not turn around. "You stay safe. Listen to me and do exactly what I say." Mia swallowed hard. "Okay, we trust you." Kara took a deep breath and shouted toward the rafters, "You won't succeed. You picked the wrong school." Aliens hissed in reply. Their bodies shifted, their disguises dropping completely as they prepared to attack. They looked like tall, insect-like creatures with long limbs and sharp claws. Their skin was pale, and their eyes glowed with cold intelligence. Kara did not flinch. She had faced worse. The first alien leaped from the rafters. Kara reacted fast. She threw one of the emitters at the ground. It struck the floor and expanded into a circular field of crackling energy. The alien collided with it and screamed as the field disrupted its body, sending it crashing to the floor. Leo gasped. Mia covered her mouth in shock. Kara didn't look back. She grabbed the second emitter and ran toward the core. The aliens on the rafters moved quickly, crawling down the walls like spiders. One of them dropped in front of her, blocking her path. It swung its claw toward her head. Kara slid under its arm and kicked its legs out from under it. The creature fell. Screeching, another alien grabbed her from behind. Kara elbowed it hard in the ribs. It loosened its grip, and she twisted free, jumping back just in time. She had been trained for combat. She knew how to move, how to breathe, how to survive. But she also knew she couldn't fight forever. She needed to disable the core before it fully activated. She sprinted toward it. The core pulsed harder now. Blue light flashed rapidly, filling the entire gym. She could feel the energy vibrating in her bones. Kara activated the second emitter and slapped it onto the core surface. The device sparked, its lights flickering. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the core shuddered. A loud cracking sound filled the gym. The energy around the core flickered violently. The aliens screeched in panic. One of them shouted in their own language, sharp clicking sound that echoed across the room. Kara stepped back, breathing hard. It's working, but not fast enough. The core needed more disruption. Suddenly, she heard Leo shout, "Kara, look out!" She turned just in time to see another alien jumping toward her. She rolled out of the way as it landed where she had been standing. Its claws dug into the floor. Kara felt anger rise in her chest. She was tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of pretending to be someone she'd else. This was her fight. She grabbed a metal pole from the gym. Floor one used for holding banners and swung it hard. The pole struck the alien across the head, sending it stumbling back. Leo and Mia watched with wide eyes. "Leo," Kara shouted, "grab anything you can use to help." "Mia, stay behind him." Leo nodded and ran toward the equipment closet. He returned with a handful of sports gear, baseball bats, hockey sticks, and even a soccer ball. He tossed a bat to Mia. Mia held it with trembling hands, but raised it bravely. Kara felt a spark of hope. More aliens dropped from the rafters. The gym filled with noise as the creatures hissed and crawled toward them. Kara swung the pole again, blocking one alien's strike and pushing it back. Leo threw the soccer ball hard at another alien's head. The ball bounced off with a loud smack. The alien flinched, giving Kara an opening to strike it down. Mia ran forward and hit one of the smaller aliens with her bat. The hit wasn't very strong, but it was enough to knock the creature off balance. Kara moved quickly, helping them stay safe while keeping the aliens away from the core. But the core was still glowing, still pulsing. Kara realized she needed one last thing. One final push. She ran toward the bleachers and grabbed her handheld jammer. It was her only remaining device. She looked at the core, then at the aliens, then at her friends. "I have to get close," she said. Leo took a step forward. "We'll cover you." Mia nodded. "Go, Kara. We'll hold them off." Their voices filled her with strength. She sprinted toward the core. The aliens saw her and screeched loudly. They moved fast, trying to stop her. Leo swung a hockey stick at one alien's legs. Mia hit another with her bat, tears in her eyes but courage in her heart. Kara leaped forward, dodging claws and sliding past a lunging alien. She reached the core and pressed the jammer directly against it. A loud hum shook the entire gym. The core's light flickered violently. Its surface cracked like breaking glass. The aliens screamed in pain. Their bodies flickered, their shapes twisting. Kara held the jammer tightly until it overheated and sparked. She dropped it just as the core exploded in a burst of bright blue light. The shockwave knocked everyone to the floor. The gym fell silent. Kara pushed herself up slowly. Smoke filled the air. The core was destroyed, broken into pieces that sparked weakly before going dark. The aliens lay scattered across the floor, conscious or dead. Without the core, they had lost their energy source. Leo groaned and sat up. Did we win?" Kara smiled weakly. "Yes, we won." Mia ran to her and hugged her tightly. "You saved us. You saved the whole school." Kara hesitated before hugging her back. "We saved it together. I couldn't have done it alone." His footsteps echoed from outside the gym. Teachers, students, and staff rushed in. They stared in shock at the destroyed equipment and the strange bodies on the floor before anyone could ask questions. Earth Command officers entered, their expressions serious. They moved quickly to contain the scene. Kara stepped back, watching as they secured the aliens. One officer walked toward her. "You did well, soldier," he said quietly. "But the public cannot know what happened here." Kara nodded. She expected this. Leo and Mia stood beside her. "But she saved everyone," Leo said. The officer smiled slightly. "And we will make sure she gets proper credit, even if it must stay quiet." Kara looked at Leo and Mia. For the first time, she felt a strange warmth inside her chest. Belonging, safety, friendship. The officer looked at her. "Are you ready to return to command?" Kara shook her head. "No, not yet." "I'm staying here," the officer blinked. "Here, in this school?" Kara smiled softly. "Yes, this is my home now. And I still have things to learn," Leo laughed. "Like how to survive math class," Mia added, "and how to make friends without fighting aliens." Kara laughed quietly. "I think I can handle that." As the cleanup continued, Kara stood with her new friends. She had fought battles in space, survived alien attacks, and faced impossible odds. But now, she faced something even stranger and harder. High school life. And for the first time, she wasn't afraid. She had people who cared. She had a place where she belonged, and whatever came next, she was ready.